of shows, and a lot of people who only get into Power Rangers, get this, I'm going to stand.
There you go, you got it.
Hey, and I have plenty of cord. I hate sitting down and people just talking at me. It's a pet peeve of mine. And plus I pace a little bit, so I hope no one's going to get annoyed. And we're going to go into some of the early shows. What I did is I chose 1 or 2 shows from each era. So we have pre-Power Rangers, which is when Toei and first started Sentai. And there is a difference between Sentai and Super Sentai. And no, you can't answer this, but does anyone know what the difference between Sentai and Super Sentai is? You are up first.
Super was added to the show after they started to add meta to the series.
That is correct. That is the only difference between Super Sentai and Sentai. So, however, when 1994 came around, Toei still decided to include the first 2 series, which were plain Sentai, into the Super Sentai brand. Alright, so I'm kind of already getting into my slides, so I may as well. Alright, so here's the beginning of Super Sentai. I put the beginning of Sentai, but I use Super Sentai everywhere else. So, do we have fans of Kamen Rider?
Yeah!
Woo! So, you guys know exactly who Shotaro Ishinomori is, right? For those of you who don't know, he created 2 different shows, and I apologize, I'm probably going to butcher the title of the other one. Cyborg 009 was another one of his creations. And as far as Sentai is concerned, like we established, Super refers to the use of giant mecha. And that actually came from the live-action version of Spider-Man that came in the 70s, I believe. And if you ever want to see Spider-Man use giant robots to fight, and machine gun, that's the series that you want to see.
Yeah, they actually showed they showed the intro in the other Power Rangers earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much of it myself, just because I'm running really short on time, and it is cut into my tokusatsu time, which is kind of sad. But I have seen a little bit. He only created 2 Sentai series, and these were not Super Sentai. He created Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, which was the original in 1975, and he also created Jaka Denge Kitai. Yeah. So those were a little bit different than the shows we know and love. The rest of the series were produced by Saburo Yatsude, which is just a collective pen name for the Toei company. I actually did not learn that until I was putting together this panel. Yeah, I mean, I found it interesting too, because when I was looking up Super Sentai, it was the name was in quotes. And I was like, why would a name be in quotes? So, alright, the very basics of Sentai. You have a team of anywhere from 3 to 5 heroes. Sometimes those numbers can vary, but most of the teams at least start out the beginning of the series with either 3 heroes or 5. Like an example of 3 would be Hurricaneer, and an example of 5 would be, of course, Jew Ranger, which is what Mighty Morphin was based off of. And at least in recent seasons, they almost always add. I know Deca Ranger actually had a total of 10 heroes, which, because Deca is 10. So also, most of the teams, at least early on, gained superpowers, some of them through their suits, and we'll go on more into that later. And it's either technological or magical. The first few series were technological because they were cybernetic and other things like that. And of course, Magi Ranger is the epitome of magical powers. And also, if you guys have questions as you go along, do not hesitate to interrupt me. I will get to you when I finish my thought, but yeah. Also the color-coded uniforms. We always love coordinating. They also use advanced weapons and martial arts. And also the format of the show usually involves some sort of monster of the week that is defeated and then grows, and then defeated again by the giant mega. What?
Marv.
Yeah, use your spell words.
Let's just make up a new word.
I was sleep deprived when I made these slides, so I apologize. You get the idea. Enlarged. What that's supposed to mean.
That's the new word. Enlarged.
Okay, right here. Some of you may or may not be familiar with Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. I will admit, most of what I know about the series has been research. I have not actually watched too many episodes or any episodes of Go Ranger. Yeah, because it's very hard to find. A lot of these early series, it's impossible. Although I know there are some fan subs floating around of Jew Ranger, but I haven't seen too much previous to that. There is Jetman? Okay, so they do exist, but a lot of times they're slower at releasing them because they're focusing on the more current series. So right here we have Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, and it was the original series in 1975. And it's basically about a terrorist organization that is trying to retake the Earth, retake over the world, called the Black Cross Army. And in response, the organization's Eagle is founded because of that threat. So in retaliation, the Black Cross Army attacks Eagle and kills pretty much all of the agents in all 5 branches, except for 5 young agents. I have to look, these are all my notes, and this is how I'm learning it. So those 5 agents are summoned to the snack shop and given these suits that give them super strength and speed, and that's what they are up on the top. And the bottom is the title card. So you can see it's really dated. So just remember, 1975. I mean, the music is, from what I've seen the henshin sequence, very, very dated.
Where they jump through the air.
I don't think so in this one. I've only, basically what it is on YouTube, someone compiled all of the Super Sentai henshins in multiple parts, and that's how I've seen this. So.
That was your video?
Yeah, I think that one is this one. Yeah. Unfortunately, also, I don't have video. I just have pretty pictures.
How do we find you?
So I hope you like pictures.
Just type in
Alright, and right here is Jaka Dengi Kitai, which came out in 1977. Unfortunately, this is Shotaro Ishinomori's second series, and it did not do well. At all. Jaka is actually, who knows what this is? What does it stand for? Right here. The playing cards, Jack, Ace, King, Queen. And those are, this one actually had 4 heroes, but their commander also ended up as a hero, and then someone came to take his place, and was a new commander and a new hero. So there did end up to be 5. Do you know when he actually came into the series, Joker? No, Big One was later, but Joker, was he always henshining from the beginning?
Joker was just a boss, he never fought.
Okay, there we go. So 4 heroes, and then Big One was added. Remember, I haven't seen these old series. I mean, I've seen little clips. They're the experts that I know who got me into like Kamen Rider and the actual Sentai. So, but yeah, Jaka were cybernetically altered. And Big One, or like, no, that's a spoiler. So if you do actually find it, you'll find something. And this is still not Super Sentai. This next part. Okay, these are the other series that came out before we started adapting these into Power Rangers. So you can see that a lot were coming out. basically what was going on and how Saban got wind of these is they were being subtitled. Zora? Sorry. I think it was Kimetsu Sentai Go Ranger was being subtitled for the California market and for Hawaii because of the large Japanese communities. So Saban caught wind of this, and that's when they started doing their own series. Also, Turbo Ranger, nothing like Power Rangers Turbo.
Yeah, that was based on Power Rangers.
Yeah, that was Power Ranger, which we'll get to. But you can see they also, especially after Jaka Denge Kitai, it's sometimes these Japanese pronunciations, and I've been working all day, they started producing series every year. So that's why there are a lot of series in between 1975 and 1991. All right, first of all, are there any questions about the Super Sentai?
Does anybody know what Goggle V is? Because I know most of those names, or for some reason, have no clue what Goggle V is.
It's actually Goggle 5.
Goggle 5.
It's the Roman numeral 5.
What was that? Ribbon dancers. Ribbon dancers.
Their Sentai with very, very hilarious
Okay, I
masks.
have that. Wonder why I haven't seen it. Now I know.
Yeah, and also, like I said, these shows are so old that most of the subtitlers don't focus on them as much.
I watched Goggle Ranger, and I've seen a few of those, but like, I've never seen Goggle V, 5 or whatever it is.
Goggle 5? Yeah, I mean, it depends upon the people who are subbing it. I couldn't speak for them why they haven't.
Apparently there's ribbon dancers, and that's what I just was told.
Yeah,
I don't really care to know what it is.
Overall, it's a pretty basic Sentai, but for some reason they have like gymnastics weaponry. The show has nothing to do with gymnastics, but their weapons do for some reason.
Oh, and also, just to warn you, Battle Fever J, I want to put this into a little bit of historical context. It uses a lot of outdated cultural terms that would not be good to use in daily conversation. They're based on different countries, one on each continent, I believe. And there's one that represents Russia, that is Battle Cossack. So I just wanted to put that into a little bit of historical perspective.
Kenyan Ranger. The Kenyans are the best.
Yeah, Battle Kenya. And then, of course, we're Miss America.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunately, the limit of my personal knowledge on what's going on over here. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it absolutely was. I wouldn't say could be considered. I'm going to say it is considered. Because I haven't read otherwise. Well, actually, I still consider... Spider-Man was Tokusatsu, so we won't go there. Anyway. Anyone else? Yes.
Here's the thing. One of the reasons Battle Fever is and if you've seen the mask, they have like a fully molded nose.
Yeah.
Weird looking. If you know how they did Spider-Man, Battle Fever was originally going to be Japanese Captain America, and then it became that. That's why Battle Japan is the leader.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to watch it, but you have to watch it and put it into context, the 1979 context of when it was written. It's just like if you watch Song of the South, you have to put it into historical context. Yes, I'm also a Disney nut. I worked in the parks in Florida. So, and yes, there were Power Rangers there when I was there. Anyway, okay. Oh, this looks a lot better on the screen than it does on my computer. Yay! These are just a few notes. We don't have to stick to these. So, of course, we have the beginning of Power Rangers, which Saban optioned. What I'm going to do in most of these slides, they're going to have 2 columns. Left is going to be the Power Ranger show. Right is going to be the Sentai show. Yeah, you can find pictures, still pictures. You just can't find episodes, as far as I've seen.
I have.
They're probably somewhere.
Which one?
Battle Fever J.
There's subtitles, but they're wrong.
I may try that, but I'm not as fluent as you are.
I have a couple letters up.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk later. But of course there were so many differences. Okay, out of the people who have not seen Sentai, did you ever wonder why the Yellow Ranger did not have a skirt? For those of you who have not seen Sentai. Because I will show you in a minute exactly why the Yellow Ranger never had a skirt. Wait till
I'm not going to say anything about it.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that, although I never watched it, I just, as a kid, before I actually found out why,
Yeah.
I was just saying that it was meant to be because she was more of a tomboy.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
And
That's what I thought.
And it could very well be that's why they wrote her as more of a tomboy. Of course, cliches, but anyway. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they never intended to follow the storyline of Jew Ranger. They were just using the battle footage, and they actually did film some footage of, obviously, themselves.
Yeah, the stunt actresses for My Morphin Power Rangers, especially, those girls are ripped.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, the or actually she's British, stunt actress for, I think, the Pink Ranger, at least in the movie, also did stunts for Sarah Michelle Gellar when she was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And has anyone ever heard of WMAC Masters?
Yes.
Yes.
She was Chameleon.
Oh, dude.
So just to, yeah, okay, so just to give you an idea, Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, basically or actually all 6 heroes were the last survivors of 5 tribes that lived alongside dinosaurs. And what we know as the Zords are actually their guardian beasts. They were 5 or 6, I think 5 different tribes at this point. We'll just go with the originals. And notice those last bullet points in each column. Female Yellow Ranger, male Yellow Ranger. That's why the Yellow Ranger doesn't have a skirt. What?
Why they did female Yellow Ranger?
Probably because of...
In Japan, yellow isn't considered a feminine color.
Yeah, and also, like, when you think of it from also think of it as, like, from the American culture and representation and underrepresentation, and it'll make a little more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would personally rather just see a direct gender translation between, but that's just me being sort of awkward about it, but
No,
it makes sense to me to have one female.
I would have probably watched it either way.
Oh yeah.
But I was 10, so it was, and I was a lot more like Trini than I was like Kimberly.
Yeah.
I started watching the series when I was 6 years.
Just kind of piggyback on that.
Hold on, guys. Shh, someone's talking.
Disney took over, they put a stop to that because this actually happened 5 times in the original Spawn era.
Yeah.
Once Disney got it, no more male to female Yellow Ranger. Because they did in Lost Galaxy, Time Force, Lightspeed Rescue, and Wild Force.
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah.
the original, so 5 total.
So, yeah, and of course, one thing I wanted to note, remember the second bullet in the Power Rangers column, because we will come back to that later. There's a very specific reason for that. Alright, okay, these are the 6 Rangers from Jew Ranger. Just to give you an idea, just thought I'd show this.
Oh yeah, I like boy.
Yeah, Boy is, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Jew Ranger, but I did kind of like Boy. And also, I'll admit, I like Justin, like from Turbo. Yeah, what? Blake Foster is his real name. He's really awesomely accessible on Facebook, by the way. So yeah, and he actually had his Power Rangers helmet tattooed on his arm. Yeah, alright. The other thing worth noting is subsequent seasons of Power Rangers, because there were 3. used footage and costumes from Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger, or not always costumes, but in this case, Dai Ranger were the Thunder Swords, and Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger were the Alien Rangers.
Loved it. That was
Yeah.
the first we had a female leader too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that in the original, the white one wasn't. It looked like from all the footage there was the red one.
you know what? I would have to look that up.
The White Ranger is actually going to Kaku Ranger technically, but red drives the story.
Yeah.
I can actually answer that one.
One thing I've always wondered.
Okay.
In Power Ranger, the white was effectively the leader until the red.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what he said. Is the Red Ranger drives the story,
The White Ranger was more the tactical one, while the red was the official leader.
and that actually kind of reminds me of Time Force, like because Jen was technically the leader, but then Wes kind of grew into leader. But we'll go. I keep diverting myself.
Well, that's also what that's similar to Wild Force, right?
I did not watch so much of Wild Force except for Forever Red. We will go back to that though, because I couldn't get past the writing and the acting. I apologize.
No, I'm playing.
Actually, I do because it was a direct correlation with Shinkenger. Yes, I realized the acting was bad, but I also wanted Bulk to watch Bulk. Yes, and someone actually requested that I talk about Bulk and Skull, so we will get to that. Exactly, yes.
The reason that White was in charge, one, she was a princess. Two, among my friends who have seen Kaku Ranger, the original Red and Blue have drawn comparisons to Bill and Ted. They call it Bill and Ted's Ninja Adventures.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I know somebody who's translating it, and I don't think I can repeat the words she wanted to translate, to use for how the princess described them, but it was not.
By the way,
it was not complimentary to their.
I'm taking notes of what you guys are telling me, since this is probably the weakest part, or the pre and Power Ranger stuff is probably the weakest part of my presentation, so you might see some of the stuff integrated. So you said Bill and Ted's Ninja Adventure?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm hoping to bring, like I said, I'm hoping to bring this to other cons, so. All right.
Yes, they were not good at the ninja thing.
Well, as of right now, in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, neither are they.
I still have doubt they were.
Hey, I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and don't forget I'm old enough to watch the original. Okay? So don't even go there.
Do you remember what someone wants to do to it?
Actually, Zane was always like one of my favorite later Rangers.
Unfortunately, we remember that crossover.
Yeah, okay. Alright, so this is another part of my beginning of Power Rangers, and I chose Time Force because, like I said, Jen was effectively the leader, although Wes drove the story, and that was, I loved the fact that I had a female ranger that was strong and a leader that I could look up to. And it was the first series to adapt the plot of the Sentai counterpart. It's not like one-for-one mirror image, but it definitely had that similar vibe to it. And like it says, it's the first time also that the initial team leadership was out of the Red Rangers' hands, or I said hands, since Tommy from Mighty Morphin. And also Mirai Sentai Time Ranger, 24th Super Sentai series. But they both involve teams traveling back in time to capture criminals. So, I mean, okay, now we're getting into the sketchy territory. But considering this year is the 20th anniversary, I felt the need to include Forever Red, which although it was from a season that I really didn't like, as far as the American adaptation, Forever Red is still one of my favorite episodes.
Yes.
I mean, that was the one part of that series that I could watch over and over.
Except for the ending.
Yeah, and
Magic motorcycles.
yeah. So this was actually in Japan, the 25th anniversary, whereas here it was the 10th. And as some of you know, right in the middle of the season, while the season was produced by Saban and everything was taped by Saban, right in the middle of the season was when Disney acquired it. So this was the last season before the Disney era. Yes?